Welcome to Conspiracy Q, your weekly top-secret investigation into history's most shocking and wild conspiracies. Forget the official narratives. Today, we're pulling back the curtain on the long-whispered-about New World Order, the NWO, and the shadowy group alleged to be pulling its strings, the Illuminati. You provided us with some truly eye-opening, recently uncovered or classified sources, and we're about to connect the dots in ways you might never have imagined, so get ready to question everything you thought you knew.
Yeah, I mean, looking at these recently uncovered or classified sources, what jumps out right away is the sheer audacity of it all, right? We aren't talking about some small-time petty secrets here. We're talking about a centuries-long plot for total global domination.
A centuries-long plot.
Orchestrated by, allegedly, this clandestine group, the Illuminati, often seen as the masterminds behind this New World Order. Their supposed goal, a single, unaccountable authority calling all the shots. And they're suppressing any kind of individual thought or disagreement. It's a pretty wild claim.
Okay, so centuries-long plot, that's a big statement.
Right.
It didn't just appear overnight, right? I mean, our sources really emphasize the historical roots, right? Framing them not as just relics of the past, but actively shaping our present right now.
Exactly. You hit the nail on the head. This isn't ancient history. It's an active force. The narrative we see in these sources, it traces back to the Bavarian Illuminati founded in 1776.
Okay.
Now, officially, they were short-lived, right? Quickly disbanded. But the perspective here suggests something different. This disbandment, it might have been a strategic move, a way to go underground and then operate in the shadows, unseen, right?
Right.
Our sources argue that Adam Weishaupt, their founder, he had a very clear goal. To infiltrate powerful organizations, manipulate governments from within. The Enlightenment ideals they espouse, those were just a clever disguise, a cover for some pretty authoritarian intentions.
So the official story of them disbanding wasn't really the end. Now, here's something I found really, really interesting that our sources connect. This alleged infiltration of Freemasonry. So the claim isn't just that they went underground. It's that they saw an opportunity in Freemasonry. They maybe merged with or strategically embedded themselves within continental Freemasonry, using its networks and secrecy to further their agenda. The idea is that Masonic symbols and rituals, they weren't just adopted, they were twisted, given new hidden meanings, aligned with these NWO objectives. It really makes you look at those familiar symbols differently.
It definitely does. It provides a way for the Illuminati's influence to continue, even after they supposedly disbanded. Freemasonry, with its international reach and secrecy, would be the perfect vehicle for their long-term plans. It's interesting to think that an organization seen by many as just a fraternal society could be a front for something much bigger, something hidden, right? And it makes you wonder how many seemingly harmless organizations are being used for purposes that their members know nothing about.
And the plot thickens, right? The sources really hit on this idea of continuity, this agenda being passed down through generations. We're talking about powerful families, names everyone's heard of. Rothschild, Rockefeller, Morgan, Warburg, DuPont. These families, connected through secret societies, are presented as key players in this ongoing NWO project.
Right, like a family business, but on a global secret scale.
Exactly. And it's not just families. The sources paint this picture of a web of interconnected secret societies. Groups like Skull and Bones, the Bilderberg Group, the Council on Foreign Relations, the CFR, the Trilateral Commission. Now, in the mainstream, these are often seen as think tanks, just places for discussion.
Right.
But in this NWO framework, there's something much bigger. They're the strategic planning committees, the places where the agenda is created and then spread worldwide. It's kind of chilling when you think about the power these unelected groups might have.
Exactly. It makes you question who's really in control.
Right. Okay, so we have these alleged historical roots, these networks, but how does this hidden control actually show up in the world around us? Our sources point to these symbols hidden in plain sight, as they call them.
Yeah.
So let's start with a really common one, the all-seeing eye in the pyramid, right there on the US dollar bill. Now, obviously, it's a familiar symbol, but in this context, it's not just about Freemasonry or divine providence, right?
No, not at all. According to this interpretation, it's much more sinister. The unfinished pyramid with the eye at the top, it's a direct representation of the NWO's power structure. The elite at the top, the eye, watching over everything, controlling everything. And the Latin inscription, NOVUS, ORDO, SECLORUM, meaning New Order of the Ages, it's right there on the bill, too. It's almost like they're openly declaring their intentions. And it makes you think, why would they put such an obvious symbol on something everyone uses?
It's a bold move, isn't it? And then there's the owl. We usually associate it with wisdom, but our sources connect it to figures like Minerva or Athena and point out how often groups like the Bohemian Grove use it. The meaning here changes from just wisdom to something, well, something more controlling. It becomes about surveillance, about operating in secrecy, and about the elite having this the superior, almost godlike wisdom that they use to guide us, whether we know it or not.
Exactly. The owl, in this context, it represents this hidden knowledge and the watchful gaze of the elite.
Hmm.
And when you consider the secrecy surrounding gatherings like Bohemian Grove, these powerful figures engaging in rituals, it makes you wonder, what are they really up to? What are they planning behind closed doors?
Now, this next part is where things get really interesting visually. Our sources discuss hand gestures and occult symbolism, and they're not talking about anything overt. The idea is that certain hand signs, like the devil horns, the OK sign, which some interpret as 666, or even just making pyramid shapes with your hands, that these aren't random. They could be signals, a secret language for those in the know to communicate their allegiance. And then you have occult numerology, these recurring numbers, like 11, 13, 33, popping up in dates of major events. It's enough to make you wonder if there's a hidden meaning, a pattern we're not supposed to see.
Right. They're operating on a different level, communicating in code. And the numerology adds another layer, this idea that they're orchestrating events to align with these specific symbolically charged numbers. Whether it's real or just people seeing patterns where there are none, it's hard to say. But it's a big part of this NWO narrative, this belief that there's a deeper hidden reality beneath the surface.
So we have the alleged historical roots, the networks, the symbols. But how does this control actually work in the real world? The sources outline these mechanisms of control, what they dramatically call the pillars of the prison planet.
Okay.
Let's start with financial domination. This really challenges the whole foundation of our financial systems, doesn't it?
It does. The idea is that central banks, like the Federal Reserve in the U.S. and similar systems worldwide, are not what they seem.
Mm-hmm.
The Bank for International Settlements, the BIS, is seen as the top of the pyramid, controlling all the other central banks.
Right.
And through this system, they can manipulate national economies through debt, they create boom and bust cycles that benefit the wealthy, and they concentrate more and more financial power in the hands of a select few. Even funding both sides of wars is seen as a tactic, a way to profit from chaos and steer global events. And the move towards a cashless society, well, that's viewed with a lot of suspicion. It's seen as the ultimate way to track and control every transaction and potentially even silence dissent by cutting people off from their money. It's a pretty bleak picture.
It is. And it's not just about money, is it? The next pillar is media manipulation. And the sources make a really provocative claim. Operation Mockingbird never ended. Now, Operation Mockingbird was this alleged CIA program where they infiltrated and manipulated the media. And the argument is that with just a handful of corporations controlling most of the news and information we see, it's easy to push a single narrative, to manufacture consent, to distract people with unimportant stories, and to silence anyone who questions the NWO agenda.
Right. It's about controlling the narrative, making sure people only hear what they're supposed to hear. If everyone gets the same information from the same sources, it becomes really hard for alternative viewpoints to gain traction, for people to think critically. And silencing those who question the official story, well, that's just another way to maintain control. That's a classic tactic.
Then we get into the idea of political puppetry. This is a really unsettling concept. The suggestion is that many political leaders aren't really elected by the people. They're chosen by these powerful groups. They might be members of the CFR, the Trilateral Commission, or they attended Bilderberg meetings before they were even in office. And their role, according to this theory, is to carry out this pre-agreed globalist agenda. It doesn't matter what party they're from, they're all working towards the same goal.
Yeah, it's like the whole system is rigged. The illusion of choice, right? You think you're voting for someone who represents your interests, but really, they're just another pawn in this bigger game. And all those globalist policies we see, the international agreements, the increasing power of these unelected organizations, it's all part of the plan.
And then there's this very disturbing idea of manufacturing crises, what they call the order out of chaos principle. The claim is that many major world events, wars, terrorist attacks, economic collapses, even pandemics, aren't random natural occurrences. They're either deliberately created or made worse to create fear and anxiety. Then, when people are scared, they're more willing to accept solutions that erode their freedoms and give more power to essential authority.
Yeah, this is one of the most controversial aspects of the NWO theory. It suggests a level of manipulation that's, well, it's terrifying. They create the problem, then offer the solution, which just happens to advance their agenda. It's cynical, but if it's true, it's incredibly effective.
And lastly, under these mechanisms of control, we have technological enslavement. All the things we think of as connecting us, the internet, smartphones, social media, they're seen as tools of surveillance and control. Facial recognition, digital IDs, constant tracking, AI analyzing our every move. It's like living in a digital panopticon. And censorship, deplatforming, those aren't just content moderation, they're silencing dissent, making inconvenient voices disappear.
Yeah, the technology exists to do all of this, and the question is, who's using it and for what purpose? The NWO theory suggests that this technology is being used to control us, to monitor us, to shape what we think and what we believe. It's a pretty bleak vision of the future, where our every move is tracked and our thoughts are policed.
Now, let's get into some of these strange facts and anomalies that our sources point to, things that don't fit the official story and supposedly support this NWO theory. The Denver International Airport is a classic example, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. Denver Airport, it's a hotbed of weirdness. You have these creepy murals with apocalyptic imagery, gargoyle statues, a dedication stone that mentions a New World Airport Commission that no one can find any record of, and rumors of massive underground bunkers. It's enough to make anyone suspicious.
And then there were the Georgia Guidestones before they were, well, destroyed. This huge granite monument with its 10 commandments for a new age of reason. You know, that one about maintaining the global population under 500 million and guiding reproduction wisely.
Yeah.
It's pretty clear how that could be interpreted as a message from some kind of elitist group advocating for population control, and the fact that no one knows who commissioned them and then they're suddenly destroyed, it just adds to the mystery.
It does. The Georgia Guidestones were a powerful symbol for both sides, actually. For those who believe in the NWO, it was proof of their agenda, and for those who oppose it, it was a target. And their destruction, well, it could be seen as a victory or a sign that the fight is escalating.
And then we have Bohemian Grove, this annual gathering of super powerful men with these strange rituals like the cremation of care ceremony in front of a giant owl statue. The secrecy surrounding it is, well, it's unsettling. Why all the secrecy if it's just a harmless gathering?
Exactly. When you have people at the highest levels of power meeting in secret, conducting rituals, it's natural to wonder, what are they really doing? What are they talking about? What are they planning? It's the secrecy that breeds suspicion.
Right. And then finally, you have all the unanswered questions surrounding major events like the JFK assassination, the Oklahoma City bombing, and 9/11. The focus is often on the collapse of World Trade Center 7 and the Pentagon impact. The argument is that these inconsistencies and unanswered questions point to cover-ups, possibly related to a bigger NWO agenda that they're trying to hide.
Yeah, these events, they become focal points for all these conspiracy theories. And the fact that there are still so many unanswered questions, conflicting accounts, it just keeps those theories alive. For those who believe in the NWO, these events are proof that they're operating behind the scenes, manipulating events, and covering their tracks.
Now, our sources also talk about the silencing and even disappearance of people who speak out against this NWO agenda. Whistleblowers who try to expose the truth, they face serious consequences.
Oh, yeah. The stakes are high. If you know too much, if you try to blow the whistle, they'll come after you, they'll discredit you, ruin you financially, maybe even worse. It's a dangerous game. And the message is clear. Don't mess with the NWO.
And it's not just whistleblowers. Researchers, journalists, anyone who investigates these powerful groups or these strange anomalies, they face obstacles too. Their work is suppressed, their careers are sabotaged, and now, with online censorship, it's even easier to silence dissent. You just make them disappear from the internet.
Exactly. Control the information, control the narrative. That's the key. If you can silence the dissenting voices, then you can control what people think. It's a pretty effective strategy. And it's happening more and more these days.
And then there are the mysterious deaths. Scientists, politicians who opposed globalist policies, witnesses to key events who die in suspicious circumstances. Officially, they might be ruled as natural causes, accidents, suicides. But the sheer number of these cases and the patterns, it's hard to ignore.
It is. It's impossible to prove definitively that these deaths are connected to the NWO.
Yeah.
But when you look at the big picture, the patterns, the timing, the lack of satisfactory explanations, it's certainly suggestive. And it reinforces that fear that if you get too close to the truth, you might end up dead.
It's a chilling thought. The evidence we've looked at tonight paints a pretty disturbing picture. The idea of this secret group, the NWO, manipulating world events, controlling the media, silencing dissent, it's a lot to take in. And we've only just scratched the surface. We've talked about the historical roots, the symbols, the mechanisms of control, the anomalies, the silencing of dissent. It's a lot to process.
It is.
What stands out to you? What connections are you making now that you weren't before? This is what Conspiracy Q is all about, getting you to think critically, to question the official narratives, to see the world in a new light. And in a world where information is so carefully controlled, where we're constantly bombarded with propaganda, it's more important than ever to develop those critical thinking skills. So keep digging, keep questioning, and join us next time on Conspiracy Q as we delve into another one of history's most fiercely debated secrets. Rate and follow Conspiracy Q to share the truth.